Tell me dealing with the stress, tell me dealing with the pain. Trying to find a way.
Welcome back to the TD, where we talk about all things sports, anime, advice, movies, and of course my series Titan King. I am your host, Tony Dawkins, and this week we're going to be diving into NFL Week 7, where we're going to be giving out our MCP awards, where we talk about the most cooked and who's the coldest. This year, the NFL has been very, very strange, very, very different, but you know what? Week in and week out, it gives us some, maybe not the most exhilarating, but definitely some interesting football to speculate on. But without further ado, let's dive into the MCPs. Okay, starting off with our runner-up for the coldest marksman, I have to give it out to Jalen Hurts. Jalen has been somebody that has been subject to a lot of criticism, from myself included. Jalen is a pretty solid quarterback, but he struggles to get into that top 5 conversation, you know what I mean? Especially with all of the woes that have come from the Eagles offense, we know that there's just a lot that has been left to be desired, and we know that there's a lot more that is capable because you have a lot of offensive weaponry, but you're just not using them, and you're barely scraping by with these games. But Jalen Hurts had an excellent game, 19 for 23, 326 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I mean, I think that I'm not going to say that he absolutely silenced the haters, but he definitely is noticing the criticism and was able to come out here and put on a performance that said, you know what, I am well and very much so capable of letting my team win through the air. With Barkley only at 18 for 44, you're feeling like the run game isn't quite exactly where it is that it needs to be, but again, they are passing and getting the job done through the air. Devontae Smith, 9 for 183 and a touchdown. AJ Brown, 4 for 121 and 2 touchdowns. They were getting it done, and they are clearly hitting the criticism between the offensive coordinator, between Sirianni. They are hearing what the fans are saying. They are seeing the things that are wrong on tape, and they are getting the corrections made, and you love to see it. Moving on to our runner-up, I have to give it to Mr. Star on his helmet, Dak Prescott. Dak played a really, really nice, clean game, and I think a lot of people are focused on George Pickens. They're focused on the return of CeeDee Lamb, but nobody really is truly honing in on the fact that Dak Prescott is playing phenomenal this year. You have so many conversations about what's going on with Micah. You have so many conversations about what's going on with CD. You have so many conversations going on about Jerry Jones, but you never stop and really realize that Dak is actually playing at an MVP level. Yeah, sure, people are talking about it, but I think that it gets overshadowed by a lot of the conversations of what's going on in the league, just because this year, it's such a weird year. We have so many things that haven't happened before, but are happening this year, and you know what? I'm all for it, because, you know, we don't want to see the same monotonous league, but my God, all the changes didn't have to happen at once. Dak Prescott, 21 for 30, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, the man had a hell of a game, and we'll talk about the receivers when it comes to the coldest hands, but I just wanted to give the flowers to Dak, because I'm not necessarily saying that they're going to be winning any Super Bowls anytime soon, but it needs to be noted that Dak's playing at a pretty cold level. But by far and away, the person who wins the coldest marksman this week, because they are the only person that had 5, count them, 5 touchdowns, is Matthew Stafford. After over a decade of getting beat up by the Lions, he finally ended up going to a right situation, got himself a Super Bowl the following year, and now is right back to being in that top 5 conversation, and certainly in that MVP discussion. 21 for 33, 182 yards, and again, 5 touchdowns. That's 10. 5 touchdowns. I mean, my man's was wheeling and dealing, and we love to see Devontae Adams getting 3 touchdowns, especially with an injured Puka Nacua. And you know, I was very much so concerned about Matthew, because you heard about all of the news about him having all of these problems with his back when it came to the preseason and over the summer and during camp, and how he's not practicing, he's not playing, and you just start to wonder, well, how healthy is Matthew Stafford if he's not taking any reps throughout the summer? But clearly the doctor prescribed just a long period of rest and excellent play, because that is exactly what we are getting from Matthew Stafford, and we love to see it. I don't know how long Matthew's going to be able to play. I think he's probably going to go for maybe maximum another 3 to 5 years, I'd say, but Matthew's definitely playing at an elite level, and we love to see it as long as we can. Congrats, Matthew Stafford. You are officially the coldest marksman this week. Moving on to the coldest hand, we have to talk about AJ Brown, who came in with 4 catches, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We already know that there has been a lot of issues when it comes to AJ Brown and the Eagles organization themselves. We know that he's not being utilized the way that he'd like to. Obviously, that there's a lot of people who disagree with his stance because he's winning a lot of games, and because you're winning, you'd be thinking that if you're complaining about your productivity throughout the game, but you won the game, it sounds more like you're concerned about what you're looking like versus what the team is looking like. But I also understand the stats is the way that these players are getting played. So I completely understand where AJ Brown is coming from. And the fact is that they've shown the capability to do it. So why they would regress when it comes to their offense and be more pedestrian makes no sense. They should obviously be progressing and trying to add more to their plates, because they should be mastering each step and then getting further and further along in order to achieve that dynasty that I know that the Eagles are capable of doing. But AJ Brown went off this Sunday, and he had to let every one of us know this is what happens when you give him the ball. Y'all heard it. I'm not saying nothing that hasn't been reported and what hasn't been said from the horse's mouth himself. So don't get mad at me. Hate the game. Moving up to the runner-up with the coldest hands, I have to give that to Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren has been playing very, very good week in, week out. He is constantly in the conversation when it comes to that top tight end that has been drafted in this recent first round class. Obviously, being from Chicago, I'm a little bit peeved because I don't understand why we didn't get Tyler, but at the same time, I was content with us getting Colston Loveland, because either one of the two, in my personal opinion, I felt like the skill difference was marginal, even if you did want to say that Tyler Warren was better. But I have to admit, the kid is tough as nails, and this just the run after the catch is just so nice to see. He was very, very dynamic on Sunday. 4 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, that's not too shabby. And again, this is just his rookie year, so we can't wait to see exactly how far it is that Tyler can go. But I mean, the way the Colts are looking, sky's the limit with that kid. But if I had to choose who exactly had the coldest hands this week in week 7, I got to give that over to Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton and Bo Nix, and quite frankly, the entire offense of the Broncos, what they pulled off in the fourth quarter not only was impressive, it quite literally made history. It was the highest point differential in the fourth quarter, and then a comeback to overcome it that has ever been done in NFL history. In large part, that comes to Mr. 14.5 averaging yards a carry, Courtland Sutton, who was 6 for 87. I mean, yes, he didn't get any touchdowns, but those big chunk yards, those big down plays that they needed to have, that was Courtland through and through, and that man was going off. I mean, sure, give credit to Mims, Ingram, and Atkins, but at the end of the day, we know exactly who that dog is over there in Bronco country. Courtland Sutton, congratulations. You, sir, for week 7, have the coldest hands. Moving on to the coldest rocket, I want to give an honorable mention to DeAndre Swift, because I said last week I don't think he's going to be in these very often, if at all, after what it is that he pulled off last week. And then he turns around the very following week to grab 124 yards and a touchdown. Okay, listen, I don't know if it's the defense. I don't know if DeAndre Swift just found this second win, but he's looking very much so impressive, and the Bears' run game is looking very much improved. We don't know exactly how far it is that he can go. Maybe he'll be able to repeat this, and if he continues to do this, I will 100% rescind my judgment of DeAndre Swift, but I gotta admit, guy's playing pretty good. Runner-up for the coldest rocket, I have to give it to Javonte Williams of the Cowboys. Now, I don't know what exactly is going on with the Commanders' defense. They were ranked among the top 5 when it came to the run stop. But between Chicago and what the Cowboys were able to do, this is just absolutely embarrassing. But let's not let that cloud the fact that Javonte Williams is an absolutely phenomenal running back. He's very dynamic, very much so powerful. He's been doing very good in this Cowboys offense. Now, I'm not going to necessarily go out on the limb and say that he's a top 5 back, but I mean, he's certainly in a conversation for what, top 10, 12? I mean, I'd honestly say top 10. I mean, who else would you put in front of him? You guys let me know down in the comments below. But this week, I felt like the coldest rocket goes to Cam Scatterbo. Sure, Cam Scatterbo only had 16 carries for 60 yards and no touchdowns, but he did get a receiving touchdown for 34 yards. But the way that Cam plays week in, week out, and specifically this week, he was violent. He's always charged up. He's ready to go. And I think that that's just something that you have to admire when it comes to a running back. The kid is a rookie, but he's out here running his little ass off, and I'm hoping that he ends up being able to consistently progress and not just be somebody that ends up peaking in his rookie year. I think that he could be somebody that ends up being a really dominant force, especially if he's able to continue building that strength, building up that NFL IQ, and start going to those really, really high places. But Cam Scatterbo, keep pounding. The coldest wall award, I have to give that to the Steelers O-line. Now, you might be thinking, Tone, why the Steelers O-line? They're not even that good. Here's my answer. Because while Aaron Rodgers was celebrating, they went ahead and tackled old man A-Rod, and that was hilarious because he was not exactly too dying on that. Yeah, sure, he was probably concerned because maybe he was going to be injured, or maybe he's just, you know what I'm saying, not that friendly of a dude and he don't like you playing with him like that. But still, it was just funny to see them trying to have this moment and Aaron being so pissed because, again, they pushed him to the ground. You got my praise, O-line. Coldest knockout this week goes to Kevin Byard and Deshaun Wright running into each other trying to get an interception. I don't know what is going on with the Bears recently. They are getting takeaway after takeaway. If I'm not mistaken, I think that they're leading the league in takeaways. But seeing Deshaun Wright, who already had an interception that game, running into Kevin Byard as he was about to pick off the ball was not necessarily funny to see, but in hindsight, it's funny to think about because the Bears are just that hungry to get the football and take it away from the other side. Plus, both players are not injured. Both players are free and clear and ready to go. So this is just one of those things where I gotta say, hey, kudos to each other for having the coldest knockout. Sniffles Award goes to Mr. Bo Nix because I don't know why it is that it takes him 3 quarters to finally get warmed up. But this man, Bo Nix, is starting to turn into a 4th quarter champion, I swear. Again, like I said earlier, for them to break NFL records in this comeback that they were trying to come from by trying to take down the Giants, who everybody, let's just be honest, the Giants, they thought they were a very good team, but nobody had them slated to beat the Broncos. And the fact that they had them dead to rights up until that final quarter was very shocking to see. I mean, he was 27 for 50, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns for 48 yards. I mean, like I said, it's a shame that it took him so long from the warm up, but I gotta admit, I'm starting to see what it is that they're saying about Bo. You always think that he's counted out and the man is trash, and then just in the last minute, he just does something that just blows you away. The Frozen Award is going to Mr. Jonathan Taylor, who had himself a stellar game, pulling off a 3-touchdown performance against the LA Chargers, which was pretty impressive to see because, again, everybody's looking at the LA Chargers defense and thinking that that is a pretty elite unit. Maybe not necessarily top 5, but certainly a pretty well-rounded unit. So for them to be cutting up the way that they were, it was just pretty shocking. Jonathan Taylor is somebody who was constantly in that top 5 running back conversation. We already know what it is that Jonathan Taylor is capable of. We were already discussing him last week in the Coldest Rocket conversation. But this week, I just felt he needed to get that Frozen Award because he has been consistent week in and week out, and it's just not going to be fair if I don't mention Jonathan Taylor at some point unless he did not do good. So unless he starts doing some sort of wrong, he's probably going to regularly get this Frozen Award unless somebody wants to step up and say that I'm actually Mr. Consistent. But Jay Taylor, keep doing your thing. And while his receiver one might have gotten more yards, he certainly did not have as impressive of catches. And that is the Issa Blizzard Award winner, George Pickens. George Pickens has been Mr. Problematic over the last few years. It seems like he can't go a single season without trying to box somebody down. But you know what? It seems like he's finally starting to get the idea. He has gotten the discipline down. We haven't heard any issues when it comes to George Pickens, and he has been doing nothing but the Lord's work over there in Dallas. George Pickens is clearly receiver one material, so you definitely love to have that level of offense over with the Cowboys, and obviously everybody is saying George Pickens needs to stay here for forever. The question is whether or not George Pickens is going to end up getting the level of pay that he deserves to get. I don't know if that's something that is in the future for the Cowboys. Obviously, this is a phenomenal addition to their offense, but we'll just have to wait and see. But when George Pickens is stepping on the field, you best believe it's a blizzard. But if I had to choose who exactly is the coldest player this week, that's Micah Parsons. I have been waiting on Micah to have a game like this where Micah is just completely dominant and shows what exactly it is that the Cowboys gave up when it comes to a defensive player, just period. 5 tackles, 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss. Michael was just hell on earth when it came to the Cardinals, and is the difference maker of why it was that Jordan Love, despite the struggles of the offense, was able to come back and be able to sneak away with a win by the end of the game. Let's keep it all the way a stack. We thought that the Green Bay's offense would be a lot more dynamic, a lot more fluid, and that with the acquisition of Micah Parsons that they would be a very dominant unit. But is it just me? But the Packers have been very underwhelming this year. Yeah, sure, they have a winning record along with every other team in the NFC North, but still, it just seems that they are just not quite firing on all cylinders. But let's not let that distract from the fact that Micah Micah was sensational on Sunday. I'm talking Micah Parsons opened all 8 gates on the Cardinals. Man, Kyler Murray wasn't, I'm sorry, not Kyler because Kyler was out. Jacoby Brissett, while he played a pretty solid game and he wasn't exactly bad, there's just not too much that you can do when you have somebody like that on the other side of the field. Now, yes, the Cardinals were winning the majority of the game, but again, what it came down to is the fact that Green Bay's defense held them in there and gave them the opportunity to win, and they just weren't quite able to overcome that. So Micah Parsons, congratulations. You are Week 7's coldest player. All right, let's get the firewood out the way. Mr. Step Your Game Up goes up to Caleb Williams, who had a very, very underwhelming performance against the New Orleans Saints. Listen, I'll be honest with you. Caleb is somebody that I feel has a tremendous ceiling. If you're talking about the 2024 class, I think that you'd be pretty remiss to find anybody who thinks that in terms of the ceiling of the quarterbacks, who has a higher one than Caleb. But if we're talking about performance, last year he was outperformed by Jaden. This year was supposed to be his year, and it seems like he's getting outperformed by Drake May. So it's just a shame to see, because you see all that power, all that ability that is within this kid, but he's just quite hasn't found a way to unlock it in the way to where he can have that success in the NFL. I mean, he wasn't atrocious, 15 for 26, 172 yards, no touchdowns, but he did have an interception. But the biggest issue I had with Caleb was the fact that he wasn't taking the opportunities that were given to him. Yes, he was inaccurate, and that's a problem. But the other issue is this: Caleb, if you don't see something with your hands, bro, move to your legs. You are a dual threat. That means there are 2 methods that you can hurt a team. Use them. Now, to be very clear, I don't expect that Caleb is going to have problems throughout this season. He has already shown a lot of those flashes of greatness, and that he 100% has the capabilities within him to be that franchise quarterback for years to come for Chicago. But I also have to be critical, and I have to be honest when it says that there are certain things that I thought he'd be further along with that he's just not quite getting. But I do suspect that as the games go on and as the weeks in the season progresses, and more specifically how the Bears will look the following season, I'm very much so excited to see Caleb Williams' development, and I'm very much so patient to see what it is that he's able to do in the future. But I'm not gonna lie, you need to step your game up. On that same end, the screen door on the submarine award has to go to the Saints O-line. I don't know what the hell was going on, because this is the thing. The Bears defense is, while it's impressive with what it is that it's able to do, considering all the injuries and all of the, we'll say, mistakes that we made in terms of the offseason and the acquisitions of our defense, but we are by no means this crazy threat that you have to worry about our front four. We just got these guys in the backfield that are just chilling here waiting, disrupting up our passes. We've got guys in the backfield that, yes, they're pretty good, but they also can get cooked from time to time. And we got guys up front that seem to get stalled out pretty often. Now, Montez Sweat, Dominique Robinson, Javon Dexter, Dayo Adengbo, they all had very, very nice games in terms of the Saints, but in general, they don't normally look like that. Which is why I say the Saints' old line might as well be a screen door on a submarine, because the Bears defense isn't trash, but they are not so good that they should have gotten cooked the way that they did, because Spencer was getting bullied all afternoon. I don't know if the Saints are looking to have Spencer be the long-term answer. I'm not seeing too many things that are in the draft that are coming up that would be a better option than Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler. You should have took Shador, but we'll have to wait and see. Saints fans, hold your head up. Medium rare award goes to Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is somebody that just can't quite get over the hump. I mean, he's always right there on the edge of having that breakout season that's going to have you thinking, holy crap, this guy is easily a top 5 quarterback. He's got the stature, he's got the tangibles, he's got the arm, he's got the leg strength, he's got the capabilities. But he always seems to do this where he puts his team in a position where they're playing at a deficit because he is throwing these interceptions at the most inopportune time. Yeah, sure, he threw those interceptions at the beginning of the game, but the fact that he threw them and had to make his team play at a deficit for the entirety of the game is exactly why it is that Herbert is constantly getting knocked down in these conversations and is not quite making it through when it comes to the playoffs. Now, I leave this as medium rare because, again, I know that Justin gets a lot of passes and people are just getting really sick and tired of Justin getting all the passes, of him having these pretty wishy-washy seasons where he's having really, really awesome moments and he has these really, really dumb moments and you're just kind of like, ugh. But I say medium rare because we don't expect Herbert to be cooked and to just play poorly at all times. We certainly expect more from Justin Herbert, but we noticed you got cooked this week. Barbecue Chicken Award is going to go to Trevor Lawrence because Trevor Lawrence has been fooling us for a long time, and I will not be fooled any longer. Listen, I think that Trevor Lawrence, again, much like Justin Herbert, has all of the tangibles when it comes to a elite quarterback in this league. He's got size, he's got power, he's got an arm, he has leg strength, he has the ability to be able to extend plays. But the problem with Trevor is that he doesn't play the damn play. Too many times I'm seeing Trevor Lawrence hold on to the ball and I'm just thinking, let it go, just let it go. But he's so afraid to make a mistake. And the thing is that if you're gonna be afraid to make a mistake, at least move the ball up the chains. Move the chains with your legs. Go up, move up. But again, Trevor's just, suffering from, I don't know if it's just PTSD or what, but he is just suffering from this lack of decisiveness when he gets on the field. And it's gonna cost him his job, but it's not quite at the level of flat top grill shavings. He has, it's not like he is so poor that there's no hope for him. So I'm not gonna quite say that it's just cooked and over for him, but we are tired of watching you get cooked week in and week out. Get it together. No more lucky wins. Win decisively. Flat Top Grill Shaving Award is going to go to Geno Smith because my man Geno Smith just can't help himself but put his team in deficit. Sure, yes, I get it. He didn't throw any interceptions, but that's because he barely threw the ball. 10 for 16, 67 passing yards by the end of the entire game. Geno, if you want to keep this starting job, you got to actually play football. I get it. You're in a bit of a slump. You don't necessarily have the confidence of you being able to let it rip because you keep giving it to the other team. But my God, dude, to just not try, I don't know if this is a result of you telling Pete Carroll that you don't trust yourself right now, so don't give you the ball, or Pete Carroll telling you, I don't trust you right now, so I'm not going to give you the ball. But regardless, this is not really a good look. I don't know how much longer they're going to keep this up. Kenny Pickett has to be licking his chops, ready to chomp at the bit and start for this Las Vegas Raiders because as of right now, Geno Smith is looking like some flat top grill shavings. And then we get into the Trash Bag Award that I can only give out to the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, sure, the Jets are still 0-7. And yeah, sure, the Dolphins are pretty buns. But they are not perpetrators and the offenders of scoring 0 points, my guy. I'm talking about these Raiders were so inefficient. I'm talking about from the offense, from the defense, from special teams. They were so inefficient. They couldn't even muster up a field goal, a fumble, something. Just a whole bunch of bodies moving around for nothing. And again, much like the New England Patriots, much like the Chicago Bears, there was a lot of hype going in for the Vegas Raiders because they had a lot of pieces to where maybe we're not necessarily thinking that they're going to be these AFC champions and go into the playoffs and do these crazy things, but we're expecting to see something, some signs of life from this brand new organization. And I see nothing but bodies. So if anybody's going to get that Trash Bag Award, I'm giving it to the Las Vegas Raiders. But last and certainly the least, if we are going to hand out an award for who is the most cooked, who's the person whose job is on the line, who is the person that we're looking at and we're saying, yeah, it's over with for you. Now, sure, we could give this award to Justin Fields because we saw that he got benched, and that is never a good sign. That is actually the telltale sign that your job and your time is up. But the only person who is more deserving than Justin Fields, or I guess just as deserving as Justin Fields, of the MCP of the week, the most cooked player, that is Tua Tagovailoa. I'm talking about, I get it. I get it. The Browns defense ain't no joke. They are very much so. They might not have a very high-powered offense. In fact, they have a very mediocre, if not subpar offense. But we're not going to sit up here and pretend that the Browns defense is not elite and not among the best of them when it comes to the league. But Tua to put up 12 for 23, 100 yards, no touchdowns, but count them, 3 interceptions. I think this is like his 3rd game in a row where he's had 3 interceptions. I don't know what his obsession is with just giving away the football, but Tua, stop. And then what makes it worse is that he wants to go into the media, talk about, well, the media wants to misconstrue my words when I'm talking about players not coming in on time, when I'm talking about coaches not being accountable, whatever the case may be. Buddy, you got to look inward. It sounds like you're the problem. Yeah, buddy, I don't think that was your line because that line is reserved for the players that are doing well, but everybody else is messing up. But you, sir, Mr. Have the ball every single play, are the main one messing up. And I have no idea what it is that you do from here, because Tua has already broken the confidence and the camaraderie of the locker room, at least when it pertains to him, because now it's an us versus him situation. I don't know what you do in terms of the money situation, because he was paid so much, but he's performing so poorly. I don't know what you do with Tua as a quarterback, because sure, maybe this is just a really, really, really bad year. I mean, guys, let's just put this in perspective. He was leading the league in receiving yards 2 years ago. That means the season before last. He was leading the league in receiving yards. And I'm pretty sure as of right now, if it's not Geno, he's probably in the top 5, if not top 3 of interceptions this season. What are we doing? They put up 6 points on the Browns. The Cleveland Browns. It's over for you, Tua. Start packing your bags. I said this last week and I'll say it again. I am so glad that your family and your children love you, because there is not a single fan or member of the Dolphins organization right now who feels that same way about you right now. That's going to do it for this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what it is that you thought about this week's MCPs. Let me know if there's somebody that you felt that I should have given an award to that I missed, or maybe you thought was more deserving that I ended up not giving them that award, or if maybe there's an award that you think that I should add to the show that I haven't added into the queue. But that's going to be it for this week. Hopefully you guys take care, and we will see you guys next time.
I'm dealing with the stress, I'm dealing with the pain. Trying to find a way.